When love turned into a lie. Part 1, A Perfect Illusion. Athena had always believed in love, the kind that makes your heart race, the kind that makes you feel invincible. And for the past 5 years, she thought she had found it with Daniel. He was charming, successful, and devoted, or so she thought. Their marriage was the kind that made people envious. Romantic getaways, candlelit dinners, and whispered I love yous before bed. But perfection, as she was about to learn, was often an illusion. One evening, while Daniel was supposedly working late, Athena decided to surprise him at his office. A spontaneous act of love. She picked up his favorite meal and drove downtown, smiling at the thought of seeing the look on his face when she walked in. But as she reached his office building, she noticed something odd. His car wasn't there. Her heart pounded. Maybe he took an Uber? Maybe he was at a meeting? 100 logical explanations ran through her mind. But none of them could prepare her for the truth. Part 2, A Whispered Name. Athena called Daniel's phone. Voicemail. Strange. He always answered, even during meetings. Her fingers trembled as she texted him. Hey, I'm outside your office. Are you still working? The message was read immediately, but no reply came. Something wasn't right. Feeling a sudden weight in her chest, she turned to leave, but a familiar sound stopped her. Laughter. A woman's laughter. She turned her head toward the sound and saw Daniel, walking out of the hotel across the street. His arm was draped around a woman she had never seen before. She was younger, effortlessly beautiful, and completely comfortable in Daniel's embrace. Athena felt her world collapse. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run to him, demand answers, demand the truth. But her body was frozen in place. Instead, she just watched as he leaned in and whispered something in the woman's ear, making her giggle before they got into his car and drove away. Her hands clenched into fists. The man she loved, the man she had given everything to, was a liar. Part 3, The First Move. Athena didn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling, her mind replaying every moment of their marriage, every I love you, every kiss, every promise. How long had he been lying to her? How many times had he left their home, their bed, to be with someone else? By morning, she made a decision. Crying wouldn't fix this. Begging wouldn't fix this. She wouldn't be the woman who begged a liar to love her. No. She would be the woman who made sure he never forgot what he had done. And so, her plan began. Part 4, The Setup. Athena wasn't one to act impulsively. She was methodical, calculating. She had built her career as a strategist in marketing, but now she would use those skills for something more personal, exposing Daniel. First, she needed proof. For the next week, she played the role of the devoted wife. She kissed him goodbye in the morning, asked him about his day, even laughed at his jokes. But behind the scenes, she was gathering evidence. She hired a private investigator. It didn't take long to confirm what she already knew. Daniel had been seeing the woman from the hotel for months. Dinner dates, weekend getaways, secret rendezvous in their own city. Athena felt sick, but she kept going. Once she had the photos, the timestamps, the receipts, it was time for the real game to begin. Part 5, The Birthday Surprise. Daniel's birthday was approaching. Every year, Athena threw him a grand party with their closest friends, family, and colleagues. This year would be no different, except for one small twist. She rented out their favorite upscale restaurant, sent out the invitations, and planned every detail to perfection. Daniel was oblivious, still believing he had her fooled. The night of the party, he arrived, grinning like a man who had everything. Athena welcomed him with a kiss on the cheek and whispered, "Tonight will be unforgettable." He had no idea. Part 6, The Big Reveal. As the dinner progressed, Athena tapped her glass for attention. The guests quieted, smiling as they expected a heartfelt speech. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "I want to take a moment to celebrate my husband. 5 years of marriage, countless memories, and a love that has been quite an adventure." She smiled, her eyes glinting. Daniel beamed, unaware of the storm brewing. "I put together a little slideshow to honor our journey," she continued. The projector lit up. The first few images were sweet, photos from their wedding, vacations, candlelit dinners. Then, the mood shifted. The next slide showed Daniel entering the hotel with his mistress. Then another, him kissing her. Another, holding her hand, whispering in her ear. The room fell into dead silence. Gasps echoed. Someone dropped their fork. Daniel's face drained of color as he turned to Athena, his mouth opening but no words forming. Athena took a slow sip of her wine before setting the glass down. "And that, ladies and gentlemen," she said with a smirk, "is the man you all think is perfect." Part 7, The Walk Away. Daniel stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Athena, I can explain." She held up a hand, silencing him. "No need. I've heard enough lies." With a deep breath, she turned to the guests. "Oh, and don't worry about the bill. It's covered, with the money from the joint account Daniel won't have access to after tonight." Laughter erupted from the guests. Some shook their heads in disbelief, others muttered under their breath. Athena picked up her purse, feeling lighter than she had in months. She walked past Daniel, pausing only for a moment. "Happy birthday, love," she whispered, then walked out the door, leaving him to face the wreckage of his own making. She didn't look back. She never would. Final part, the sweetest revenge. Athena didn't run. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply walked out of the restaurant with the poise of a queen leaving a battlefield she had already won. Outside, the night air was crisp, refreshing. The weight she had been carrying for months, years, even, was finally gone. She wasn't the betrayed wife anymore. She was the woman who took back control. As she stepped into the black luxury car waiting for her at the curb, the driver opened the door. But before she got in, a familiar voice called her name. "Athena, please." She turned, slowly, meeting Daniel's desperate eyes as he rushed out after her. His tie was loosened, his face red with humiliation. He reached for her, but she stepped back. "You can't just leave like this," he pleaded. "We can fix this. We can." She let out a soft chuckle, tilting her head. "Fix what, Daniel? Your mistake or your reputation?" He had no answer. With a calm, almost amused smile, Athena reached into her clutch and pulled out an envelope. She pressed it into his hand. "What's this?" he asked hesitantly. "Divorce papers," she said smoothly. "Signed, sealed, and ready for your signature. Consider it my final gift to you." Daniel's hands trembled. "Athena, I love you." "No," she interrupted. "You loved having me. You loved the life I gave you. But love? That's not what this was." A sleek, black sports car pulled up beside them. The window rolled down, revealing a sharply dressed man in the driver's seat, Michael, Athena's longtime friend and, as of recently, her private financial advisor. "Ready to go?" he asked with a smirk. Athena turned back to Daniel one last time. She leaned in, her lips just inches from his ear. "Enjoy your new life, Daniel. Whatever's left of it." And with that, she slid into the passenger seat, shutting the door with a satisfying click. The car pulled away, leaving Daniel standing alone under the glow of the restaurant's lights, holding nothing but the proof of what he had lost. Athena didn't look back. She never would.